Relationship diagrams are a bit tricky, just like real-life relationships are, in a way that with process diagrams we know that if we have just a couple of words, fills work okay, but if you have more than 3-4 words, then we are better off with just borders. However, with relationship diagrams, if we have, suppose we have 3 objects and they are in relations to one another, it seems like we need 3 different kinds of fields for 3 different kinds of relationships. And the alternative, of course, being working just with borders, which does not quite achieve the same effect. And these are the 2 options people sort of default to. And my argument here is that there are a couple of more examples to consider. Example number 1 being highlighting just the key areas, and example number 2 being reverse, highlighting just the key areas. Let me show you how that works with some real-life examples. Yeah, I know this is just way too complicated. Now, thing number 1 many people don't realize is that you don't have to put all the text inside those areas. You can put them actually anywhere you want on a slide. This is a much better composition. I think it's much easier to understand what's going on here, and you can easily understand which text goes where. But then, these are just borders, these are fields with borders, and this is we working with 3 different shades of pink, which in some cases, probably not here, but in some cases maybe too much. What if we can do the same effect with just 1 shade of pink, like this for example, or like this for example. This I think is more or less ideal. So we're trying to achieve the best results with the least possible means, with the least instruments in our disposal. And I think this is a fine example to consider. What exactly do we need to highlight? Do we need to highlight everything, or do we need to highlight just the intersections, just the key areas? Many people seem to default to option number 1 and option number 2, but actually I encourage you to consider option number 3 and option number 4 as well. And in case you do not know how to do it, it's really easy with Keynote. You need to have a look at the Arrange tab, and they're down below. Go play with them. It's actually quite fun. You can make lots and lots of fancy shapes with those instruments. So what you do, you join 3 circles one by one, and then you put another colored circle behind. And if you are on PowerPoint, I will provide you with those 7 shapes, and you can color them any way you want. Let's consider another example. I know, once again, it's a bit of an overkill, so let's just remove all the text and focus on the chart. And what we can see here, of course, is shadows, gradients, borders, fields, arrows, and 2 sets of colors. For God's sake, why? And the answer is, well, actually we do need those 2 sets of colors, meaning one being shades of blue and the second being green, dark green, light blue, etc. Because we need clear separation between those logical levels in the structure. And at the moment, there's no clear separation between, for example, H and O4 and L. You cannot quite see where one level starts and another level ends. And this is, of course, just way too bright. You do see clear separation here, but the colors are just way too bright. So the question is, if the only thing that we need is clear separation, what are the minimum instruments we can achieve that with? And the answer is, all we need is just 1 color. I mean, 1 color which is slightly different from white, which in this particular case is gray. And I think the end result is just so much better. It is so much clearer. And if you want to have some fun, you can add those bright colors back. Much easier on the eyes, much easier to read. So, what exactly do we need to highlight? This thing is crucial with relationship diagrams. You should really ask the question and try to solve the task with the minimum amount of color that you have in your disposal. Many people seem to default to option number 1 or number 2, but what I propose instead to consider option number 3 and, most importantly, number 4. I think it works spectacularly. In case you didn't realize, the pyramid chart is exactly the same as those nested circles. These are just nested triangles. So no, you don't need 9 shades of blue to create this kind of a chart. If you see at a certain point that your chart is getting way too busy, I know it looks kind of aesthetically pleasing, but once you add text, it will become complicated, and you will have to use white colored text down below and dark colored text at the upper triangle, which also complicates things. So if the only thing you need is that clear separation, consider just having 2 colors. This is all you need. And in case you didn't realize those are just triangles, put one on top of the other. In conclusion, when we create diagrams, the first question we need to ask ourselves is, do we really honestly need a diagram? What exactly are we trying to achieve? Can we do without it? Because for larger audience, diagrams do not work all that well. The second question is, what's our key message? What's the decision? What's the question we're trying to answer? What exactly are we trying to sort of encourage our audience to do? Not just what we want to explain, but what we want them to do. And once we're clear on that, what are the 3 to 5 focus points that we need to highlight on the chart, and can we remove or move to background everything else, everything that we do not need? Those backgrounds, those colors, those connecting lines, borders, etc., etc.